And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Hello, everyone out there in Tampa Bay and beyond. This is James Knowles coming at you for the RBLR Sports Podcast, and I am here, as per usual, with my co-host, Carlos. How are you doing this evening, Carlos, after another good weekend?
James, I'm feeling fantastic. It's been a great weekend. I apologize for my absence last week. I was trekking through the mountains in Ecuador, raining. It was just so much rain, so many landslides. There was no Wi-Fi. It was a trip, but I'm back home, safe and sound. Back in the sunshine. It was a beautiful day today. I went to the beach for a bit. Took advantage of my my vacation and my break right now. And I mean, it's just been great times all around. Great times for the Rowdies. I mean, I don't think I should need to say that. Everybody should be pretty happy with how stuff has been going in that department. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit. James, how are you doing outside of the good vibes coming from the Tampa Bay Rowdies?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, and I think that a good portion of that does have to do with those good vibes, I will say. It was just a lovely weekend, and Eureka, my wife and I, we all had a great time down at the Rowdies. So, Carlos, let's just get into it here. We have a lot to talk about, not just with the Rowdies, but I guess there is another game coming up. Surprise, surprise, the schedule just never stops here. But this past Saturday, to get us started, the Rowdies hosted the Colorado Springs Switchbacks in a 2-1 win for the hosts being us. And in the RBLR Cup standings, that means that the guest spot is back on top with 11 points. So well done to all of our guests. Amy Beamer it was who actually called the exact right score, 2-1 win for the Rowdies. So well done to her and all of our previous guests as well. So like I said, the schedule does not stop, and we have to preview a game coming up this Saturday against league leaders Sacramento Republic. Yeah, league leaders Sacramento Republic, and that's obviously going to be a big one. So please like and subscribe to us on YouTube or any other major podcast platform. Of course, we are wherever you are, and please follow us on all the social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I believe Eureka has even said that we are on Mastodon. I am not, but if we are, so if you're there, then you could check us out. We are at RBLR Sports. And now, Carlos, if you could get us going with our quick recap, and we'll move into some analysis.
Of course. I'm excited to talk about this game, James. There's a lot going on. Obviously, good results. But before any of that, the lineup included Sparrow in goal as per usual, Connor Antley, Kleeman, Lasso, and Guillen making up that back four, which has become a regular piece, and Neil Collins is starting 11. Jordan Doherty, Ekra making up that midfield unit. Just ahead of them with Spaulding, Dennis, and Harris playing kind of that attacking midfield piece. JJ Williams, of course, being the starting striker in what has been a fantastic spell of play for him. Lots of goals starting to flow from his boots. We love to see that. In the 7th minute, the Rowdies scored off of what officially goes down as a Herrera own goal. But I think what we will call here on RBLR Sports a Charlie Dennis Olympico goal, straight from the corner. Took a weird bounce off of Herrera, the Colorado Springs goalie, who I think, frankly, just read it very poorly. I don't think Charlie Dennis, I don't know. I guess we'd have to ask him. I'm not sure if he intended for that ball to be a shot. But anyway, Herrera read that poorly. And next thing you know, the ball's bouncing behind him into the net for a 1-0 Rowdies lead. 7 minutes in. Can't ask for a better start than that. Rowdies came back very, very quickly. Missed a few really big chances. Really pushing for more goals, and you loved to see that in the first half. Eventually, JJ Williams would get on the score sheet once again with a pass from none other than Ryan Spaulding. That's been a duo that you might have heard a bit about in this, 5-6 game streak, 5-game winning streak, but past few games. A duo that's really starting to come into form and connect a lot in terms of offensive production. Fantastic stuff from those guys. Switchbacks would get one goal back very late in the game in the 92nd minute, but nothing more from there. Rowdies would go on to win 2-1 as the game wrapped up in St. Pete in front of a good-looking crowd, James. Good attendance on hand. Rowdies would win 2-1 and get 3 points. So, James, lots going on in this game. meat and potatoes, I guess we could say, was in the first half for the Rowdies. Bit of a trend in past couple games. Decent starts, comfortable leads, and kind of sitting on that a bit. That seemed to happen here. But let's jump into that first half. Obviously, went ahead 2-0 into halftime. What's going on there? Did you see anything different from the past couple games, or is this just kind of a continuation of the run of good play we've been having?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it was a continuation. So they did start with four in the back, as we have said. Obviously, with the versatility of the players on hand, something that we have highlighted in the past, Ryan Spaulding was able to step back when we were out of possession and make it, 5 at the back.
Yeah,
And then Aaron Guillen obviously slid over into a more central role. But, mostly I would say that it was a 4-2-3-1 because I think that mostly it was the Rowdies who were controlling the play in the
yeah,
first half. Obviously, things were a little bit different in the second half, but yeah, everything went extremely well for them. I just my first note on here, honestly, is the team is on fire right now. So,
yeah. That's a good
yeah,
way to put it.
it's like it's been really good to see, of course, and I thought that we're going to get into all of the players a little bit more, but to start off the way that we did, we did, like I said, start really well, but then not only did we play really well in those very first couple minutes there, but we actually turned that into a pretty early goal.
Yeah,
7 minutes in, and as you said, I think that Charlie Dennis should probably be credited with that. But if the statisticians have chosen not to do so, then I guess we have to follow their lead. Unfortunate as it is, because I'm not sure how many games in a row that would have given Charlie Dennis a goal, possibly 3 or 4, but yeah, it is unfortunately not going to count for him, and he will have to just get another one next week, in my opinion. But
exactly.
yeah, I mean, Carlos, how often do you see an Olympico? That was pretty cool to see, and
Yeah,
you mentioned the crowd; it was over 6,100 people on hand. I'm not sure how frequently you see that just in the middle of the season because there are a lot of things going on. I believe the Rays even had a game that day, so I don't know if people were, of two minds about where they were going, but most of them obviously turned out for the Rowdies, and that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that those 6,100 plus fans, when they saw that goal, just absolutely went nuts.
yeah.
It was deafening to hear because how could you not when a goal like that goes in?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to watch even not in the stadium. Can you imagine how cool it must have been in Al Lang? But to go back to your point of Charlie Dennis's goal scoring streak, I don't even know. I don't know how I didn't notice this, but in our now what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 game win streak, the 4 games leading up to this past weekend, every single game he scored a goal, including 2 goals against Rio Grande Valley. Um, I'm going to give him this Olympico goal and say he scored now, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goals in the past 5 games. That's insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why I didn't realize that he was producing as many goals as he is. It didn't really click until you made that point, and I went back and checked. And wow, Charlie Dennis has been having a few games to remember now. He's really starting to come into form. I did notice that, obviously, like he's been playing fantastic, and those kind of huge boots to fill of Leo Fernandez. While nobody, I guess, can fully live up to the expectations we might have placed on somebody trying to replace Leo Fernandez this season, Charlie Dennis is doing a really good job. So I'm very happy with this guy, and I hope he can keep up this streak, honestly. But I don't know how you can. Like scoring that many goals in this few games is so tough to do at this level. So fantastic streak for him. Um, I'm really happy for him, James. I don't know. I felt
Yeah.
like he started off kind of slow, but Charlie Dennis has really seemed to come into form, and I guess it's just kind of a trend for a few different Rowdies players now, including the other goal scorer, JJ Williams.
Yeah, based on his play last year for Monterey Bay when he was announced as a new signing over the summer, I was very happy. Summer, I am clearly paying attention to the transfer market for all of the big leagues that have just closed down this past weekend. But no, his signing over the winter, I should say.
Yeah,
Yeah, Charlie Dennis, I was very excited about that. And as you said, it did take him a little bit to round into form. I think that partially had to do with the fact that he was playing a bit deeper than he might have expected to, or than he probably wanted to. He was probably brought in to be a more attacking piece, but I think just because of necessity, he had to step back a little bit deeper and play in a more defensive role in the midfield.
Right.
And, you fill whatever spot you can, obviously, like it's a team sport and XYZ, but it does hamper his abilities, which we know are extremely strong on the attacking side. And we've obviously seen that come to fruition here with just an incredible recent record. And I think that is obviously to the benefit of the Rowdies. But yeah, fans are obviously taking it in too and just enjoying, not necessarily Leo Fernandez 2022 levels of play here, but is that going to happen? Maybe. I think that if he keeps it up, then he can certainly get there. So
if you keep up that scoring streak, it's hard to not be the MVP at the end of the season. But
exactly.
These are insane expectations to keep. But again, fantastic stuff from him. But on top of that, now this is a guy who I think a lot of players when you do the scouting report, it's a guy that is good and deserves some of your attention, but especially now after 5 games of just putting the ball into the back of the net. This is a guy that is going to draw more and more attention every time he touches the ball. And that just frees up so much more space for all the other guys, right? I mean, this is going to create, even if he's not scoring now, just drawing that extra attention now from, I guess, his run of great play is going to open up space for the guys on the wing. Even for JJ Williams, might draw an extra defender and give JJ the ball. But it's just when everybody starts to click like this, especially in the attack, it makes it so hard for a defense to actually effectively stop everybody involved because somebody's always going to be open. So, I mean, I think on fire, the way you described it is the best way to kind of summarize that. So who knows? I mean, they could still keep going from here. I mean, the guys on the wing could get involved even more. I want Deon Harris to score so many goals. I just wish he could end up on the score sheet every night. I think it's coming for him. And I'm not even, I haven't even mentioned Spaulding yet. And Spaulding has been, I think, one of the revelations of these past few games, obviously. Great stuff coming from them. Let's talk about the other goal scorer for a second, James, because that was the first goal. We talk about Charlie Dennis now. JJ Williams got his goal, in the 44th minute, right? Leading up to that, he had a really clear chance that probably should have been a goal as well. He should have had 2 goals before the end of the half. Actually scored, I think, the harder opportunity of the 2. And I think, was that an opportunity also created by Spaulding?
Yes, I do have that note here. 40th minute, Ryan Spaulding to JJ. Horrible miss. Rowdy should be up 3-0 because we also had a couple of other chances that went wide. But that was a very important one. Luckily, as you said, he did make up for it.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are coming into form as well. They already are in form. And I think the JJ Williams and Ryan Spaulding connection has been so fun to watch, just as a fan, obviously. But it looks like they're having fun on the field too, right? Did you see that celebration was that this past game? I think it was the game before where they did the, what's it called? It's from a show. I'm terrible. I'm terrible at that.
Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z, yeah. The Dragon Ball Z celebration that's become relatively popular. That was so fun to see. I love when guys obviously are playing well, but that they're having a good time too when they're doing stuff like that, and that makes it so much more enjoyable. And it gives you so much more confidence because that they're having fun, and that's how they're playing well if they're having fun. And that goal from JJ Williams, the Ryan Spaulding connection, and it's going really, really well on that wing for him. The interplay between him and Charlie Dennis to just tap it right back to him perfectly to feed JJ Williams is awesome to see. Again, Charlie Dennis doesn't go down into the stat sheet for that pass, for that 1-2 with Ryan Spaulding on the JJ Williams goal. But if it was hockey, he would get the second assist, right? That's the thing in hockey, I think. So I'm going to give him an assist too tonight just because I feel like I can make up the rules tonight and give Charlie Dennis a goal and give him an assist too. So in my head, in this game, Charlie Dennis had a goal and an assist. And everybody's clicking. Am I missing anything big from the first half? Were there any other big opportunities?
I didn't have any other particularly big opportunities. I did say earlier in the game we could have had 2 goals, hence the Rowdies should be up 3. But yeah, that whole play started for me with Jordan Doherty doing something that I've noticed him doing a lot more frequently now, and that is what Lewis Hilton actually is pretty known for. Jordan Doherty, I think, is doing an extremely good Lewis Hilton impersonation at the moment.
Yeah.
He was the one who, in that particular sequence, he set up the play by receiving from the right, turning with the ball to his left, and then finding, I believe he found Ryan Spaulding. Spaulding then had a give and go with Charlie Dennis, like you said. And so Spaulding was then able to, in space, give himself a little bit more room and cross the ball over for JJ Williams, who, like you said, I do think actually he got on the end of what was the harder of the 2 chances that he had in the 40th and 44th minutes. So, yeah, but, whatever. He made up for it and puts the Rowdies up 2-0. That's obviously very good.
It's all right.
What it was for me in the first half that I wanted to include here was just, and this is something that we've talked about before, because of the last couple of games. Now, I only got to see the last couple of games on television or replay. So last week, obviously, the team was out of town, could not watch it in person. But the week before that, my wife had a bout in roller derby, so we were at that, and I did not get to see the game at the stadium. When you're in the stadium and you can see all the field instead of just the players who are closest to the ball, which is what you get when you're watching it on television. And, not that it should be different, but it's just harder to see the whole field, obviously, from that perspective. So when you do get the whole field, it's kind of a nice treat, and you get a lot more understanding, a lot better understanding of what's going on in the game. And one of my notes that I had here that I did want to bring up is Connor Antley and Ryan Spaulding seem to be extremely important to this team. Jordan Doherty is someone that I think is doing an incredibly good job of spraying the ball back and forth from side to side when we have possession, but he has a lot of options when he goes to do that because of the play of Connor Antley and Ryan Spaulding. So, yeah, like we've talked about in weeks past, because this is such an important feature of the Rowdies game right now, and it's like it's something that teams don't really know how to handle for large stretches of it. So Connor Antley is lining up mostly as our right back in a 4-2-3-1 position, and Ryan Spaulding is lining up mostly as the left winger in that formation. Connor Antley will step in from his outside back position to the midfield, where he will be in the middle alongside Jordan Doherty and Jan Ekra, is what it has been recently. So with those numbers in the middle, then there's a lot more opportunities for somebody on the back line or whoever that is to find someone in the middle who can then, set up a nice little passing sequence and get around a couple of guys, which is what you need. You need numbers to do that. Or if that is not the option, then obviously what Connor Antley will do is he will stay out wide and he will go high. And then Dayon Harris is the guy who will come back and take up some space in the middle. So, yeah, Connor Antley has developed an incredible ability this past, I don't know, 2-3 months, whatever it is, to pick out his runs and know when to do this. He's very good at it, and I think that it's just getting better, obviously, each game. There were 1 or 2 moments when I noticed specifically that the Colorado Springs left-sided defender actually kind of just got lost in the shuffle of it. Literally the shuffle of Harris and Antley switching back and forth between being the guy on the inside and the guy on the outside. And they got lost, and then we passed around them, and then, yeah, set up a relatively good chance. But that's one thing on the right side. If you go to the left side, it's Aaron Guillen and Ryan Spaulding, and they're doing a lot of the same things there because, like I said, Ryan Spaulding has that ability to cut back with his defensive side of things, and he can come and play as a left wing back if we need to. So between all 4 of those players being able to fill into different positions, and Aaron Guillen, you'll see do the same thing as Connor Antley at times. You'll see him take up space in the midfield next to again, Jan Ekra and Jordan Doherty, and then Ryan Spaulding will be the guy to drop back or to open out very wide in space. So yeah, it's great to see how well they can do this and how smoothly their communication is going. That's allowing them to play this way. I think that Jordan Doherty is the one that kind of like the glue that kind of holds it all together, because he is the one who is usually linking the passes between side to side. And when they're firing on all cylinders like this, it's like, I was a little bit blown away. I went into the press show, or the press conference after the game, and I said to Neil Collins, because I had missed the last game in person and I had missed the game before that in person. Obviously, this was the one where I had that perspective I was referring to. And I told him that, this is probably what I think that 45 minutes, that was the best 45 minutes I've seen the Rowdies play all season. And, I threw in a little compliment for the right winger and the right wing back, but I'm not sure if he thought that I was being serious or not, because I did give them the, not in quality, but in kinds, they are, I think, a relatively good, example of players who have kind of, been playing a little bit like Manchester City. That's kind of how Pep Guardiola at Manchester City has his fullbacks playing. They will step into the midfield. And I think that Connor Antley, whether or not that's actually his inspiration, he's doing a pretty good job of it. So I'm really happy with the team and their ability in possession, their ability to hold the ball and to decide when they need to make those passes and when to hold it. So if they can keep it up, obviously we're going to have a tough test coming up here, and I think that that's going to be perfect for these players to show just how good they can, just how well they can do it.
For sure. No, I agree. And I think your Antley point, and well, I guess your point in general about kind of the fullback and wings, movement and chemistry. First of all, I think it's really inspiring to see, and comforting, I think, as a fan, because of the fact that just a few weeks ago we were talking about chemistry kind of being like a theme of, was that a factor in our slow start, is the fact there's just so many new guys trying to gel together, and what's really happening there. Antley and Harris and Guillen and Spaulding and whoever was playing in Spaulding's spot, whether it was Armin or Dalgard. And even though those guys aren't new, like kind of the system that Collins is playing here is kind of new. And it was just a lot of movement, a lot of new things being tested. But I think now in this, run of good play, we're seeing consistency in the strategy and starting 11 in the game plan, and obviously like a pretty clear connection between the guys on the wings, like you've been talking about. And again, I don't want to keep complimenting Ryan Spaulding, but he deserves it. Coming in as like the new guy in a team full of new guys and gelling so quickly has been really, really, really impressive to see. And I've loved his style of play. And I think Antley, again, like you said, deserves a bit of a shout as well, because he's been really carefully picking his runs. He doesn't, very often end up on the score sheet or the stat sheet with an assist or something like that. But in this game, if you recall, his chance was, I think, the first real chance of the game, and it could have ended up in a goal. It was like 2 minutes into the game. He had a great 1-2. He did 2 1-2s actually. One quickly with Dale Harris, kept his run going, and then another one with Charlie Dennis and kept his run going, and just didn't stop running. So from like half field, he had the ball and interplayed it with those guys, and all of a sudden he's in the box and has a really good looking chance, and takes a shot with his left foot that Herrera makes a good save on. That could have easily been 1-0, and it was just one of those opportunities that a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, a little more than that, was one of those opportunities that you might have not seen. It just might have never happened. But, with Neil Collins' game plan, with the system he has going now, it seems like the guys are comfortable and confident in themselves, and their ability to go up and make something happen. So I'm happy with that. How can you not be as a Rowdies fan who've now won 5 games in a row? And yeah, that being said, I'm happy is what I'm trying to say. It was a great first half. Can't say I paid too much attention to the second half, but James, did you see much difference in the second half, or do we just kind of take our foot off the pedal and sit on that 2-0 lead?
I think the second half was it was definitely not the same quality, but I don't think that the players were not. I don't think that the players were necessarily complacent about it. The goal that we gave up obviously came in stoppage time, so At that point, maybe you could say that they got a little complacent and they had taken their foot off the pedal. But honestly, it just seemed like we were kind of controlling the game a good bit there. And it didn't seem like Colorado Springs really felt like they had a way to get back into it. In the end, the possession was slightly edged in their favor. And, they had a couple of things on the score sheet, but they didn't really, it just never seemed as though Colorado Springs had a ton going for them that would actually cause us a lot of problems. And like I said, we weren't playing at the exact same intensity in terms of that switching of play and in terms of getting those chances created based off of that. But yeah, I mean, the players who are getting the chances from all of this brilliant play, that's JJ Williams. He's getting on the end of the crosses. That's Charlie Dennis, who's getting shots in good areas and then getting on the end of rebounded crosses at certain instances. Like, they're the ones who finish a lot of these plays, but it mostly starts at the back and works its way out to those wingers and wingbacks. And I think that they were very good, obviously, at the attacking side of things. But on the other side, the Rowdies still need to have. They have a reputation for being a very good team defensively, and I think that that's deserved too. I think that for this one, Colorado Springs never really looked like they were going to challenge us a ton. They did have chances, but we were able to kind of deflect their possession into areas that weren't anywhere near as important, areas that weren't as dangerous, and ultimately they did get that one that was late. And we can talk about potential mistakes or anything like that, but by then, literally in stoppage time, I think that the Rowdies had actually, they were a little bit, okay, this game is over. And I felt as though it was over well before that. If I were the one on the field, maybe I would have been somebody who took his foot off the pedal too much. But obviously that's why I never made it to that level. So these guys are professionals, and they're a lot better about the mentality side of things, of course. So I think that was the best way that I could describe it. They were still handling their business.
Yeah, and based on what I saw, and looking back at the recap of the game, and I didn't have a full chance to take a look at the entirety of the second half, but it just seems like there was really not much of a need to push for a third goal.
Right.
Like, you always want to score more goals, but like you said, it doesn't seem like Colorado Springs was doing much to scare us, I guess. And that just seems to be a testament to not just the back line, but I think it's really more of a testament to the quality of the 11 and kind of the chemistry of the team as a whole. Stopping, or I guess kind of preventing opportunities from even being dangerous in the first place is kind of the definition of defending as a team. And then, the team seems to be fully connected and fully, going about their business is the best way to describe it, like you said. So happy with that as well. Looking back at that goal that Colorado Springs scored, it was also just a rocket. Like, Sparrow's never going to save that. You can maybe see some guys getting a little slow, maybe getting way too comfortable, but who cares at that point? And in stoppage time, you're up 2. It's going to be really difficult to lose the 3 points at that point. But you can tell guys like Forrest Lasso, if you look back at the highlights, James, Forrest Lasso was like not having it at all. He was so frustrated about that goal. He was like slamming his hand down on the grass. So you can tell, I mean, even if they weren't, in full intensity mode, even the goal like that is frustrating them. So, hey, I mean, that's good to see as a fan, right? You want to see these guys going for the best result they can. You want to see the back line pushing for a shutout every game. So I'm happy to see that passion, even if it's after conceding a goal. So 2-1 win, can't complain. Second half, we didn't score a goal, but who cares, right? We won, got 3 points. That's all that matters.
Yeah. And with that, 5 games in a row now, the Rowdies had, again, what I think is one of the better halves of football that I've seen them play. Probably the best half this season that I've seen them play. As I boldly stated to Neil Collins, he didn't. He did give me some other examples, I will say that, but he didn't push back on me making that statement. So, yeah, Carlos, I mean, what more can we say at this point? I think it's just a good time to be a fan.
It's always a good time to be a Rowdies fan, James. But This 5-game streak in particular has made it a little bit more fun to be a Rowdies fan. Yeah, especially after that slow start, right? I mean, draw, loss, win, loss. Like, it was a little bit concerning, maybe. I don't know. It's still early on in the season, I guess. But at this point in the season, to see them really gelling together and being able to put together a 5-game win streak is really impressive. 15 points in the last 5 games is awesome to see. And it's jumped us up from what? Before that streak, we were in second to last at one point. We were in 11th place, where Loudon currently is. And now we're in 4th place, tied with Pittsburgh on points and goal differential. So Pittsburgh and us are tied for third place, just behind Louisville and Charleston. Like, this is you can't really be upset with this, especially after the start that we had this season. And yeah, I guess it's a matter of just seeing how far we can keep it up, keep rising up the table, and hopefully get back to that first position spot that I think we very much can be in. So it's a matter of keeping that up, because right now, if we play like this, I don't think anybody can beat us. Like, honestly, it's really fun to watch. It's unstoppable. And the guys are gelling, so that's all that matters.
Well, we will see shortly if there is anyone who can beat us, because, like I said, tough one coming up here. But Carlos, before we do that, let's do our man of the match. Who was yours for this game?
Yeah, I'm going to say Spaulding, even if he gets all the compliments right now in these past few games. He deserves it. Spaulding is truly a professional. Again, I'll say this every time I mention his name. To be like so new, to come into the lineup as a guy on loan from New England, in a team full of new guys already, be able to gel so quickly is awesome to see. And he has truly been part of like that, 3 names, Spaulding, Dennis, and Williams kind of trio up top, has revitalized how this offense plays and how many goals we score every game. But that, particularly that Spaulding's and JJ Williams duo, has been really fun to watch and been a huge part of why we've won 5 games straight, and why we've scored 5, 10, 12, 13 goals in the past 5 games. Like, that's awesome to see. I'm not expecting us to score 5 goals every game, but hey, if we can, why not? And if we do, Spaulding's going to be a big reason for that. So Ryan Spaulding, my man of the match. Congrats to him for having yet another fantastic game in this time against the Colorado Springs Switchbacks.
Yep. I think that he has been a regular man of the match awardee after, he joined us on loan, and it's obviously well-deserved. So my man of the match actually goes back to Jordan Doherty. He was my man of the match, I think, for the first 2 games of the season. And he has gotten back there. He's playing more as a midfielder than a defender, like he was in those first couple of games. But he just looks brilliant in it. I think that, he was when he first joined us on loan from Norwich City, he was a young player, but he was still a very good player. And, you saw that there was certainly potential in there. I don't know that I saw that there was this potential, at least this early, that he could develop into a player who could do a pretty good pantomime of Lewis Hilton. I don't know if Lewis Hilton, when he is set to return right now, I think that Neil Collins said Jake Arman was the only one who might actually be like back in full training. Or something close to that. I don't remember the exact words, but Jake Arman was the one who had made the most progress. Either way, if Lewis Hilton is not going to be available anytime soon, that isn't like presenting us a problem. And of course, most games it has in the past. So I just can't believe how well Jordan Doherty is playing, and having that in the stands perspective was so eye-opening, because you can see all of the stuff that he does off the ball, not only when we have it, but also when we don't, that kind of prevents other teams from building up and, creating their own chances. So Ryan Spaulding it is. And that's where I'm going to leave my man of the match.
Love to see that. I mean, everybody's playing well. I feel like everybody deserves man of the match, right? Can't do that.
Yeah.
Though, I guess. I feel like I almost forgot Connor Sparrow was our goalie. just because I feel like he hasn't had to do much in the past 5 games. I was going back through the lineup like Sparrow. Oh, Connor Sparrow. Like, I'm sure like if he had to, he would step up and make some big saves, but he just hasn't had to in the past 5 games. So he might be the only guy who maybe hasn't had to show up in the man of the match nominations yet. But James, great stuff all around. What else can we say? Fantastic game.
Yeah,
I think that's all we
absolutely.
have on questions and analysis. So before we move on from that, James, and before we go on to looking ahead to the Sacramento Republic preview that we have hinted at so much, a huge game against none other than the league-leading Sacramento Republic. Liking, subscribing is free, James. But if anybody out there wants to support some new threads, maybe get a gift for somebody and want to support the podcast a bit more, you can head over to shop.rblrsports.com and check out all the cool designs cooked up by all the wonderful people here at RBLR Sports, in particular Eureka. So many cool shirts over there, repping all the different teams from the Bay Area. Link is in the description of this podcast. And fun fact, James, anybody listening out there can use the promo code COYR for 10% off your order. Free money. I don't know. Why not take it? Go buy a cool shirt. Lots of cool stuff on there. Or maybe get your next game day fit at RBLR Sports. Sorry, shop.rblrsports.com using the promo code COYR.
All right, now let's get into our preview for this upcoming game. Yeah, Carlos, if you could get us started here, then we will move into, try to give you a little bit of a breakdown on the tactics, but nothing too much in this segment, at least.
Yeah. You always got some more stuff coming out on that later on. Sacramento Republic is going to be the toughest test of the season yet for the Rowdies. This Saturday at home at 7:30 p.m. Everybody show up. The team will need all the support they can get for this one.
If we can get a similar crowd, that would be great.
Yeah, right. Even higher, why not, right? Sacramento Republic comes to town, currently leading the league with 27 points from 12 games. As mentioned earlier, the Rowdies sit in 4th in the East with 20 points from their 12 games after a very, very slow start. Sacramento's last 5 games includes 2 losses, one in the Open Cup and one versus OC in the USL. Russell Cicerone leads the team and is tied for the league lead on 9 goals so far. He's one of the best attacking pieces in the league. Is property of Sacramento Republic. Russell Cicerone, somebody to keep an eye out for. Luis Fernandez also has 4 goals. Jack Gurr and Juan Herrera have 3 goals each. Gurr has 3 assists, while Keko Gontin, Aurora Lopez, and Cicerone also get involved. And they all have 2 assists too. Republic seems to line up pretty consistently in a 3-4-3-ish formation with Danny Vitello in net, Jared Timmer, Connor Donovan, and Shane White in defense, Gurr, Fernandez, Lopez, and the young Aldair Sanchez starting in the midfield. Cicerone, Herrera, and Gontan going up top, making up the attacking unit. Cicerone, again, to focus on him, he is a huge piece of the Sacramento Republic attack. Likes to cut into the middle. He and Luis Felipe have started off the year really, really well. And along their back line, their 3 starters are tall, and the Rowdies will have to try and build out of the back, keep the ball on the ground to make something happen. Doherty will be wanting to take advantage of the cross-field switches because, again, big guys making up the Sacramento Republic back line. Can be hard to get anything going in the air. I know that's something we love to do is chip some balls into the middle of the box. Hope JJ Williams gets on the end of that. Maybe something to avoid a bit in this upcoming game. So, James, I just ran through that really quickly. It's probably indiscernible because there's a lot going on there. Sacramento Republic tactics are much more complicated than the 30 seconds I just went through and read their formation and whatnot. James, you're going to come out with a preview article later this week breaking down some of that, likely on Thursday, so keep an eye out for that. Again, these tactics are interesting to read about and definitely worth taking more of a look into later this week because Sacramento Republic attack in particular has been really, really fun to watch if you're a neutral. But it's going to be something kind of scary to watch if you're a Rowdies fan this Saturday. But I'm confident in our back line. I'm confident in our midfield to stifle that a bit. That being said, I'm the eternal optimist, James. So maybe I'm hinting a bit about what my prediction will be like. But how do you see this game going? Briefly, what kind of dynamic are you looking out for in this game? Do you think we can pull out the result?
Yes, we absolutely can pull off the result. Obviously, there's going to be a lot that goes into that. So, um, what we're going to need to do, is shut down a couple of very important players here. So, one of the players that we're going to need to shut down, especially, is Luis Felipe Fernandez. He is a Brazilian American and a former U.S. Youth National Team player. From Brazil, where he was at one of the club's youth systems. He moved to MLS. I guess he wasn't quite making the grade at MLS, so he dropped down a level and went from the San Jose Earthquakes to, I believe, just straight to Sacramento Republic. If there was another stop on the way, then I am simply forgetting that. But he has been here for 3-4 years now, and with Sacramento, he is seemingly one of their best players. He is going to be the player who really helps drive the team forward with the ball at his feet. And he's going to do that as, mostly a central midfielder, but, expect him to be able to pop up pretty much anywhere because he does have the ability not only to carry the ball, like I said, but he has the desire to try and get on the end of things when the play has developed. He will be, like I said, the person who does carry the ball forward, but in addition to that, he's also going to be looking to players who are then out in the open as, people come closer to him to try and shut him down. One of those is going to be Jack Gurr on the right. Jack Gurr is a former college player from, well, I guess he's from the north of England originally, but I think he just went to college in Georgia. Anyway, he wasn't really known outside of, the college ranks. And just because he was local to Georgia, I think Atlanta United had an inside track on him. He signed for their second team and he played there for a little while. I think he actually signed with their MLS team for like less than a season even, but he was one of the depth pieces there. So it didn't work out at Atlanta United in MLS, and he moved to Aberdeen in Scotland, who were then coached by a former Atlanta United coach, actually. Anyway, from there, he has moved back to USL, and he's just kind of really taken over at Sacramento Republic. He is obviously leading in those stats like you went through, Carlos, and I really like, I've actually really liked Jack Gurr for a while. I think that he's a very good player at the USL level. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to cut it at MLS, but I thought he might have a chance. I guess, unfortunately, it didn't work out, but that's to Sacramento's benefit here and the USL overall. He's going to be very important. And then the other player that I wanted to highlight is on the left side, Aldair Sanchez. So this is not a player that I had actually known a ton about before this. He's from Washington State, and I don't know if he was involved in like any Seattle Sounders youth teams or anything like that. I'm honestly not too sure, but regardless, he ended up going to UNC, and that was only for like a season and a half or whatever it is, because he did well enough that Sacramento wanted to bring him in. He has started, I think, all of their last 3-4 games, whatever it is. He's only 20 years old because, they signed a player who was in the middle of his college career, and he's starting to step up. I think that he's going to be the player who sits deeper of the two, of Sanchez and Gurr, but, you should still expect him to try to get forward from time to time. And the players, obviously, who are going to look to benefit from that are Chapa Herrera and Russell Cicerone. Russell Cicerone is someone that Rowdies fans are going to be all too familiar with at this point because he has played for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and he was always a goal-scoring threat, even when the Riverhounds weren't that good at different times in the past. Now Cicerone appears to have found exactly where he needs to be because he is in the middle of scoring, the most goals. I think it's 9 goals in 12 games. So that puts him tied for the league lead. But, he's never scored at this rate before. He's always been a very good goal scorer, but this is like stepping it up to a whole new level. And I think that just comes from playing on such a good team right now. Sacramento are playing to his strengths and allowing him to kind of get where he needs to be. And they're creating the chances for him to follow up with plays after getting it to, I think Chapa Herrera is the one who's going to be a bit higher up the field, and then Russell Cicerone is going to be able to move about as he pleases a little bit more. And I think that this is going to be already, we know this is going to be a very tough test, but this is going to be a very tough test for Jordan Doherty, who we highlighted already for his defensive abilities. He has really taken to the central defensive midfield position, allowing Jan Ecker in front of him to help connect the attacking play. But if Ecker does continue to start, I'm not sure if that will be the more defensive option that Neil Collins will be looking for in this game, or if he's going to try to play on the front foot and have Jan Ecker continue to control possession. Maybe the option here is to just, give Sacramento as little of the ball as possible. I'm honestly not sure what's going through their heads at the moment, but yeah, Jordan Doherty is going to have a very tough assignment on his hands, regardless of, the Rowdies' overall tactics. We know that. And it'll come down to Forrest Lasso and Freddie Kleeman probably to make one or two, last-ditch tackles, or Connor Sparrow to make a great save here or there. But that's why we have these guys. They're supposed to be some of the best in the league at that. And I'm hopeful that, with all of the silly mistakes that we've seen kind of get cut out of their game in the last couple of matches, I've really enjoyed that from all of them. And I hope, obviously, that this is going to be the case here, because if it's not, obviously Sacramento will punish you. And I am positive on our abilities here. But of course, any given game can go any given way. So we're going to have to see how it is.
No. That front three for Sacramento is scary. Like Cicerone, Herrera, and Fernandez looks like a really, really good trio up top. Herrera just seems like such a random signing for this club, by the way. Do you know anything about him before Sacramento this season? Did you hear about this guy?
So I believe his background is Venezuelan. And so, I think that he was, or it's not, if it's not Venezuela. No, I'm sorry. It's Colombian. He is Colombian, and he was playing mostly in the Colombian league over the course of his career prior to this. I don't know where they scouted him. I don't know how they found him. Obviously there are tools that people can use and be like, okay, what is this guy likely in the price range of?
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's probably something a little bit more sophisticated than Transfer Market when you're a professional club.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they did it. They seem to have pulled a real diamond out of the rough with this one. If you can even say that the Colombian league is all that rough, I guess I don't know, because I don't get to watch the Colombian league. Hopefully, when I sign up to get the subscription that I can watch all the Copa Libertadores that I want to see, then I will be able to see some Once Caldas and some Deportivo Pereira or whatever.
yeah, definitely should. Copa Libertadores is a trip, so much fun. But yeah, no, I was looking at the Sacramento roster just now, and doing my brief background checks and research and whatnot. Obviously, Cicerone is a name that everybody knows, and his goal scoring rate right now is like scary good, by the way. So like you said, something to keep an eye out for, and a player in particular to try and shut down. But Juan Herrera just seems like such a rare, there's a few really random signings in the league. Juan Herrera seems to be kind of that signing for me that I'm looking at for Sacramento. He's played in Colombia his whole life, and then played in Macará in Ecuador for one season. His last team in Colombia was Cortuluá, a team in the second division. All of a sudden, he's playing for Sacramento Republic in 2023. I love these random signings, by the way, because it's just this is awesome that USL is just going down to South America and grabbing some players and bringing them up to the USL. Every team should do more of that. I hope the Rowdies start doing more of that too, because obviously it works out for a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, really, really good looking front three for Sacramento. I'm always going to be the eternal optimist, James, though. So should we jump into our predictions?
Let's go for it. Who you got?
I'm going Rowdies 2-1. I know that's a safe. That's like the one that the go-to prediction when you want to predict a win. You're not so confident about a shutout. 2-1. I don't know. We're playing so well right now. We're in a 5-game win streak. I don't see us losing. I could see a draw. But I'm always going to be a little more optimistic than I should be. I'm going to go with a win. I'm going to say we win 2-1. Another goal from JJ Williams, because why not? And then somebody unexpected scores a second goal. And I'm going to say it's somebody like Jordan Doherty actually gets on the score sheet. Rips a shot from outside the box. We win 2-1. But this one's a lot more tight than the Colorado Springs 2-1.
I actually like that shout for Jordan Doherty getting on the score sheet. He is a player that has taken over, of course, the Lewis Hilton role. But I think that Lewis Hilton he's not a guy who's going to take a lot of shots over the course of a game or a season, let's say. Jordan Doherty will take a shot every now and again. And I think he came pretty close in the first half. I don't think he hit the bar. I think it was saved and it was pushed a little wide. Either way, it was one of those, a cross came in, it was defended well enough, and the ball just kind of dribbled out to the top of the box, and then Jordan Doherty smacked it. So he might just get one. I would love to see that. But I am going to be a little less optimistic than you, and I'm going to go with the 1-1 draw. So that is what I'm going to take here. And Carlos, though, you are in good company because producer Eureka is giving the 2-1 Rowdies as well.
Yep. There you go. I like it. 2-1. James, it seems like you're being outnumbered here in terms of victory prediction because our guest spot as well, Charles R. Gallagher Law on Twitter, very, very active on the Rowdies Twitterverse. Shout out to him, is predicting a 3-1 win for your Tampa Bay Rowdies. So even a little more optimistic than Eureka and myself. But who knows? The guest spot has been so hot recently.
Yeah.
Like, who knows? Yeah, I could see that happening, and why not? I would love to see a 3-goal performance once again from the boys in green and gold, and why not? The offense is producing so much, like why not, right? Maybe we can say Sacramento is good and probably won't let us score 3 goals, but who cares? We're playing really well. Why not just be optimistic? But I appreciate you always keeping us keeping our feet on the ground, James, with your 1-1 draw prediction.
Well, I guess it's a little more level-headed, but I think that putting money on the Rowdies is still a good bet right now, obviously.
Yeah.
Either way, we're going to see how it turns out. Every game can be different, even if there's something on paper. Hell, we've seen a lot of that, and we're actually going to get to one of them here coming up in a little bit. But those will do it for the predictions. And Carlos, let's move into extra time here now. Most of the major leagues around the world have come to a close now in this past week, and or if they're not closed, like all of the decisions are pretty much made. So there are, still big leagues in Brazil and Argentina. I think MLS is trying to get itself there, and I can't say that I know too much about a bunch of leagues across Asia, but there are a title winner in all of Mexico, England, Scotland, Netherlands, Germany, Portugal. Not Portugal, but Spain, Italy. So all of those have won. And congratulations are in order for Manchester City of England, Paris Saint-Germain of France, Feyenoord of the Netherlands, Tigres of Mexico, Barcelona of Spain, Napoli of Italy, and for everyone who was interested this past weekend, no congratulations are in order to Borussia Dortmund.
That was so sad.
Because they threw the title away when they should have won it, and they gave it back to Bayern Munich, who win their 11th straight. Everybody, I think, most soccer fans in the world just wanted to see Bayern lose because that's friggin' boring at this point. But Borussia Dortmund were playing at home to a team that had lost 4 games in a row. Somehow they managed to throw it away and let Bayern win the title. So, boo Dortmund, your fans deserve a little bit better if you are asking me. But congratulations, I guess, to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, that was tough. That was tough to watch, James. I can't believe that happened. Next piece of extra time segment, just moving on before I'm sad about Dortmund losing the title again. The CONCACAF Champions League final starts tomorrow night. Tonight is Tuesday. Tomorrow night will be Wednesday night. CONCACAF Champions League final starts then with Lyon hosting LAFC. The second leg being on Sunday. So by Sunday night, you will have your CONCACAF Champions League winners decided. It should be a good one. Lyon, obviously, always a good team. LAFC, solid team as well. Take a look at it. CONCACAF Champions League is pretty fun. usually obviously ends up just being MLS versus Liga MX, but nonetheless being some solid games being produced by the CCL. So tune in, take a look at the CONCACAF Champions League final. I'm sure it'll be entertaining. Great crowds and atmospheres from both of these teams. Should be fun to watch in person, but also on TV. Atmosphere always going to bleed through the TV onto your living room, into your room. I don't know, wherever you're watching it, it should be a good one. Tune in and check that out as well.
Yeah, LAFC actually took like a ton of fans when they were playing a team in the early rounds in Costa Rica. And I was like, wow, if if they're going to Costa Rica, they've made it this far. I don't think Mexico is as far as Costa Rica, so there's probably going to be a pretty good traveling contingent. I'm interested in seeing how that goes. But
Sure.
that should do it for us tonight. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We've obviously gone through a lot here. But the last thing that I want to say is you got to go out there this weekend and make sure that you support the team, because this is going to be the toughest. This is going to be the toughest game that we've had all year. And, we did not start that well to begin with. So, you have to take all that into consideration. If you would like to get updates from us along the way, you certainly can. Please follow RBLR Sports on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever else at RBLR Sports. I am also on Twitter at RBLR James K. What about you, Carlos?
At Carlos GPA10 on Twitter. I have, I don't know, what have been tweeting about recently. While I was in Ecuador, I was putting updates of my little mini ground hopping, checking out some couple stadiums I hadn't visited in Ecuador. And also a video of me going absolutely mental and looking like a psychopath when my team in Ecuador scored the game winner in the 80th minute. Go check that out if you want to see me screaming my head off in Ecuador. That was a blast. But back to regularly scheduled Twitter content now, all the Rowdy stuff and whatnot. So at Carlos GPA10 on Twitter.
And you can use the hashtag AskRBLR if you would like to get at us for anything that you want to know about. You can also like and subscribe to our podcast, and we, of course, ask that you do. You can get the full experience on YouTube, where there is a video of us recording all of this. But if you just want to do the podcast, you can do that as well on Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, Apple and Google Podcasts, and wherever podcasts are found. So for another week and another win with a tough game coming up, I'm on you, Rowdies.
5-0 Rowdies.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.